Welcome back to the Luck on Sunday studio on Racing TV this Sunday morning. Holly Doyle is still alongside. I'm delighted to say that Chris Hughes and Jim McGrath have joined me in the studio. Gentlemen, how are we? Chris, all well?
Very well, yeah, extremely well.
Jim, I feel like I've been stalking you the last few days.
Newbury, yeah. Good fun day at Newbury yesterday, wasn't it?
Well, wasn't it a great day? We'll come to that as well. Chris, first of all, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you in, actually, because as somebody that is well connected with the racing industry, but won't necessarily be, if everyone know who Chris Hughes is through racing initially, for obvious reasons. We are Love Island season after all. But you have been incredibly outspoken on your social media channels, really in defence of racing, and I think as an industry, it's been great to see that.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, obviously, I grew up with horses. I had my first couple of ponies when I was about 8 years old. The first sort of racehorse I ever sat on was Earth Summit back in the day when I was 12 in Earth Summit's retirement. And that's where my ponies were initially kept, at a point-to-point yard there with Marcella Bayliss, who looked after Earth Summit. But yeah, racing's just been part of my family. I live next door to John Joe Neal, so we were just having a chat out there, weren't we, Jim? Just reminiscing old times. But yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's absolutely love the sport and just, yeah, you know, racing, especially jump racing, living in the Cotswolds, it's been something that's part of my blood and part of my life since I was a young boy.
Do you think, Chris, that had you not, given what else you've seen in the world and plenty, and what else you've done, do you think, had you not grown up around horses, had you not grown up in the Cotswolds, etc., do you think racing would have ever been on your agenda? You know, as a young man growing up in a media world, if you like, would you have ever thought, oh, horse racing, I'm quite interested in that, or would that not have ever happened, do you think?
It's a good question. It's probably one I haven't really been asked in terms of, you know, in that respect. But I think just with the links, you know, my dad and my mum are good family friends with John Janelle, so that was an opportunity for me. I ride out up at there from time to time, and it's a difficult one because growing up in the Cotswolds, you know, I went to school with Sam Twiston-Davis, Willie Twiston-Davis. You got Matt Holdsworth now, who does House and Holdsworth, the bloodstock. You got the Schumarks, Connor Kieran, you know, Jonathan and David England, like the list goes on, really. So for me, I grew up, they were all my friends, so I'm very fortunate to kind of ease my way into the industry in that respect.
Was there ever a time that Chris Hughes thought about doing what Holly did?
Do you know what? This is funny. So in school, growing up, like, we loved it. Me, Sam and Matthew Holdsworth. So Sam was always going to be the trainer. Because out of Sam and Willie, the one with all the ability growing up was Willie. so
and all the dirt now.
All the dirt, yeah. No, Sam was... Sam wanted to be a trainer. I don't think growing up, necessarily, he wanted to be a jockey. I think he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. And Willie was always the one, you know, the brave man, you know, the strong little lad who had no fear, who was going to become a jockey. But, yeah, no... I did want to. That's what I was going to be. Sam was going to be the trainer to the horses that I rode, but they obviously all failed. I'd put on a few more stone, and he stayed a bit shorter, and yeah, it's good as gold for him.
I mean, to be fair, looking at it, you might struggle now to be a jockey.
Yeah, I think so. 6 foot now, and I think I weigh. Oh God, I don't know what I am. I can't remember the last time I weighed myself, but I'll be about 12 and a half. Kicking on towards 13. There's not a lot to
move off the subject.
Jim, we're going round the circle. We know about Holly. We can find the details online. 12 and a half, Jim.
Around 12 and a half as well.
Solid, fair enough.
Solid weight.
No, it's not solid enough.
That's the problem.
Thank you, Tom.
Not at all. But I think it's interesting you touched upon that, particularly in jump racing. I think there is that family feel to it. You grow up in and around people who work in jump racing. You know, I grew up as a jump racing fan and went into jumps yards. Flat racing, I was always a little bit distanced from that, actually, and I
think it's just quite. I think the whole jump world's quite a very close community. I mean, living in the I could say this from experience living in the Cotswolds. You look at who you got around you. You got Nigel Twiston-Davis. You got Fergal O'Brien. You got, you know, McPherson. You got, you know, the list goes on. John Joe. There's so many trainers based around such a small area. So it is a racing community there. So growing up in it, you're either part of it or you're not. There's no real in between. You're either not involved in horse racing or you are. There's no, oh, I'm involved in it a little bit. You kind of one or the other. So I'm just very fortunate growing up in the Cotswolds. I think, yeah, it's a lovely part of the world and it's a massive racing hotspot, especially for obviously jump racing. That's where the jump racing comes from, because, yeah.
Did you actually think growing up you might end up on something like Love Island?
No, do you know, I blossomed when I say I blossomed. That'd be a modesty. I blossomed when I started growing a beard. I think. I reckon
I think you can say that.
I reckon. Oh, you should have seen some pictures of me in school were horrendous.
Well, we've got some actually.
No,
I wish we did.
No, we
should have done that.
No, we shouldn't.
There are some pictures of you. Be careful.
Yeah, that actually, Jim, you know all too well. Quite right too. You know all too well.
You'd have made Love Island a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm not.
A few years ago.
I'm not sure. I'm not
I
sure.
got a nice quiff in it, Tom.
I'd be keeping the t-shirt on, Chris, I'll be honest. I can't compete with that.
Oh mate, no, it was. No, I never thought I'd be on the show. I mean, I applied when 100,000 people applied, and I think 20 odd people got on the whole show over that series. And that series 3 a couple of years ago in 2017 is where Love Island blew up in terms of viewers and publicity and the way it was kind of viewed and watched and everything. I think that most of the nation was watching. I don't know if you watched, Jim, did you? Love Island?
I was glued to it.
Glued to it, yeah, I'm sure it was. It is Speedos every night.
Ollie, it's past my bedtime, Chris.
Have you watched it? You seen it?
I'm guilty, yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Did you watch the one with Christie?
Yeah, I did.
Best series, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
You watched it this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need that bit of TV in your life because it's downtime, isn't it?
I think you need. I think genuinely. I think that release is quite good, particularly in. I mean, with horse racing, you can.
You find ways to justify this.
The watching something that is, you know, that you don't have to switch on to too much. I think can be. But in horse racing, there is so much racing that you can find yourself. You know, and this is somebody that doesn't ride horses, but you can find yourself. All night you can be reflecting on meetings you haven't seen. You can just be going through, and sometimes I think it's quite nice to just go, right, I'm just going to switch off and watch something like this.
Well, you know, I actually defended you when you and Ollie were ridiculed on social media all week for leaving the World Cup early. I said the boy had his Windsor homework to do. Of course he left early. It's much more important.
Thanks for bringing that up. That's great.
You know, there's the Barmy Army and the Bell... I think that word should have a few more letters at the end. Army. Yeah. But we won't repeat them on this show. Anyway, World Cup, whoa, you missed the end. Well done.
I just can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
The greatest World Cup finish to any sporting event, and you've missed it.
But George Baker's letter really rubs salt in the wound as well in today's post, just saying what a wonderful day it was.
Yeah.
Did you see it, Holly?
I did, yeah.
Did great, good. I'm glad.
I can't believe that.
But, you know, and Ollie really did say he was Ben Stokes' brother. That is true, is it?
It was. Ollie is a very quick thinker, and he is,
but
normally,
not a very slick thinker.
He's he's very good at moving things along his way, and it nearly worked. But
did it not occur to him to say he was Ian Bell's brother?
That would have been a good one.
Yeah.
You had to. It was a desperate moment, Jim. I'll be honest. At the moment you get that realisation of this has gone badly. That it was.
I heard at the time there was somebody there, like a fan of his. He was saying they asked him for a picture at the time. He goes, "Oh, aren't you Ollie Ball of ITV
Well,
Racing?"
it blew his cover completely.
Yeah,
He's trying to be somebody that he wasn't.
Not right now. He's trying to get in his. Yeah, Ollie Stokes. Yeah.
We'll do well to live that down. We will
you won't live
do
it down.
very well to live that down.
No.